Nothing.
Oh, is that for off-air?
Yes.
The comment about me eating this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, 6 minutes after the hour, 1-800-STEP-1-2, the phone number, toll-free from anywhere, and we will not share what I just did to Travis. That was horrible.
Yeah, we need to call HR.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Yes, can I help you? All right, 1-800-STEP-1-2, the phone number, of course, toll-free from anywhere to reach us. On the big show today, Cece Goldwater, who I did not know, also a 30-year friend of Robin Williams.
Wow. Wrote
me a long piece yesterday about it. So next hour, and then Jackie Schechner in hour number 3. Very, very exciting. Yeah, we've been very, everybody's been saying on the Twitterverse, the Kathleen Madigan and Rick Overton shows, both friends of Robin Williams. Yeah. Really not our usual laugh riot.
No.
But hopefully healing just as well. All right, so lots more stuff to talk about in that regard. Oh, by the way.
What?
Yeah, this was everywhere, speaking of the Twitterverse. This one. Did you see this?
Oh, yeah.
Lib talker Stephanie Miller, too bad Robin Williams died instead of Dick Cheney. Which, of course, I did not say at all. But this is part of their, see, liberals are worse than... Okay. Hey, look who's here. It's Democratic strategist...
Carl.
That do it over something dry, not over a jingle.
Strategies.com. Good morning, Carl Frisch.
Good morning. And just for the record,
yes.
I'm fairly certain that Dick Cheney's been dead for years.
Oh, now, there. Now, see, you're going to get me in trouble again already.
Dead inside.
I apologize. I will admit that he is the undead. How's that for compromise?
He's dead inside. How's that?
By the way, so did you hear what we were, this is what happens whenever Rush Limbaugh says something awful or politicizes a death like he did with Robin Williams, then like they have to go, oh, but see, the liberals are worse because look at this. And it's something not even vaguely similar.
Well, and that's the thing about Rush Limbaugh, right? You would think that if he had a heart in that very rotund torso of his, it would have been around something around substance abuse and depression because he has, suffered that himself.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
If you thought that was an opportunity for him to show a human side to his largesse, you were wrong.
Yeah, did you hear him yesterday, Chris? Somebody tweeted about this. Now, Gary tweeted, now Limbaugh is trying to spin that suicide was being lauded.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. He clearly was saying, oh, I was just citing what people say, meaning what a Fox story said.
Right.
And he spun it into, we heard it yesterday, right? It was the whole thing, Carl. I'm sure you heard it about...
yeah.
It was, whatever. It sounds like, like suicide's a liberal thing because we're all unhappy or something, whatever.
No, it was vintage Rush Limbaugh, or Mork from Pork, as I like to call him.
Yeah, and anyway, but so now he's going, oh, well, I just was concerned because I felt like the media was lauding suicide.
Oh, what a bunch of yes.
Right? Who was lauding suicide?
People
Folks at home can Google it and listen to it, and nobody... that is not, first of all, nobody's been lauding suicide.
No.
And second of all, that's not what Rush said.
Yeah, I mean, he's making it seem like, oh, I'm just trying to protect, they're celebrating suicide. Nobody
is.
In any coverage has been, they're celebrating the man and his...
I will say this about the coverage. What ticks me off about the coverage is not that there's too much of it necessarily. It's that we only talk about issues of substance abuse and depression when a celebrity dies from it.
Yeah.
And one good thing that comes out of this every time this happens is that repeatedly, over and over again, people are hearing the message on television and on radio and in their newspapers that you don't have to do this alone. There are people that can help you. There are numbers you can call. And if you watched cable news this week, any coverage about Robin Williams, somebody said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly. And you tweeted that. You said if you or someone you know is battling depression or considering suicide, get help. And then you listed the number 1-800-273-8255. Yeah, I mean it's well. By the way, so do you have the original?
I have the original.
Okay,
yes.
So here's what he said, and once again,
this is in the original German to riff on.
Did you get that, Newsbusters? Okay. Here it is.
You had to attach not a philosophy, but an attitude to a leftist worldview. It's one of pessimism and darkness, sadness. They're never happy, are they? Do you know that the real reasons that Robin Williams killed himself He had it all, but he had nothing. Made everybody else laugh, but was miserable inside. I mean, it fits a certain picture, or a certain image that the left has. I mean, it's about low expectations and just general unhappiness and so forth.
See, and he always says, right, oh, they just took a 10-second clip out of context. Did that sound out of context?
No.
He's like, oh, I was talking about how other people are covering it. No, you didn't.
No.
You
said liberal people, this is in a cleaner format, he said, liberal people by their nature are unhappy on the inside, and being unhappy and liberal leads to suicide. So if you don't want to commit suicide, you should be a conservative. That's what his message was.
Yeah.
Got news for him. Plenty of conservatives commit suicide as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Lots of people do.
Yeah.
And you know what? Lots of people are hurt by this. This is not just a comment that is a swipe at people who have committed suicide. This is a swipe at anybody who has ever known somebody who has committed suicide. And I venture to guess that Rush Limbaugh is in that camp with us.
Yeah.
Everybody knows somebody who has killed themselves.
And, what was I going to say? I'm sorry. It went in and then out. But, yeah, I mean, once again, this is him. He always tries to say he was misconstrued. So this was him yesterday.
What the left, and particularly the leftist media, is attempting to do in twisting my comments about the Robin Williams suicide yesterday cannot go unnoticed. In fact, I didn't even know that I was on the hot seat till I got an email about 20 minutes ago about all the crap I was getting. So what crap? And so I sent a series of links, all spawned by Media Matters. Media Matters took one thing, they took it all out of context, and then fed all these other outlets, and they ran with it.
They posted the
audio. The
audio.
upshot is that all of these media people think I am just a reprobate, a cold, heartless guy because I accused Robin Williams of committing suicide because he was a liberal, and I did no such thing.
Yeah, as Chris said, they post, and in fact, they make a point of not posting like a long chunk of it, so you're not hearing just,
You're hearing it within context.
For a guy that gets paid $40 million a year to talk, he certainly says things that can be misconstrued an awful lot.
Yes, there is that.
You would think for $40 million he could be a little more clear so that nobody gets confused.
It's actually 50. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
If you were only making 40, it would be understandable.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I was going to say, we were talking about this other RNC, or the Republican official from Minnesota. And he doubled down on politicizing his death. He got in a Twitter fight with someone that just posted, a remembrance, I guess. I mean, you say.
It was, I think it was like a county elected official or something. No, it was the communications director for the Minnesota DFL, the Democratic Farm Labor Party, posted something about how, Williams was funny and how he's going to be missed. And then the vice chair of the Republican Party of Minnesota, basically, he responded by saying, well, Robin Williams is so 1980s. And if you want 1980s jobs and economy, vote for the Republicans in November.
We should all listen to one of his, I forget which one of his kids. They've all posted really, I think, touching things. But one of the sons said, you could honor my father best by being as kind and gentle as he was. Mm-hmm. And but that's what I mean, Carl. It's almost amazing because you think this is obviously something that's human and crosses partisan lines. But I guess we're wrong again.
No, we get accused for politicizing everything under the sun. But, people that point the finger usually have a few pointing back at them.
Yeah, you should have seen my Twitter feed yesterday because you could tell a lot of people just read the headline.
Yeah.
And the main thing I got out of this, Chris, in the transcript is that Kathleen Madigan is funny.
Yes, she is.
Right. What did I say? I said they're quoting me. My point. We were talking a lot about heart disease, obviously, and the effect on depression and all of that in heart surgery. And so I said my point is that Dick Cheney is still alive. For some reason, Robin Williams, a national treasure, and Dick Cheney is still alive. And comedian Kathleen Madigan jumped in saying, still talking, too, giving interviews. Anyway, but you know what I mean? That's being taken out of context. Clearly we were joking, and I clearly didn't say, I wish Dick Cheney was dead.
Right, like that. That headline was a lie.
Yes.
But what else is new from the likes of Newsbusters and company?
There you go. Oh, by the way,
it was Weasel Zippers that did that. Yes.
Thank you. By the way, you tweeted about Lauren McCall being a liberal. I'm not sure if Rush has had any thoughts on that or not. Maybe he will.
Yeah, only liberals grow really, really old and have a full life and then die of old age.
Right, right, exactly. By the by, there was big gay news, as you know. A federal appeals court denied a request to delay its ruling striking down Virginia's same-sex marriage ban.
Finally, it sounds like Virginia's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Yep.
The Attorney General there has asked the Supreme Court to take it, and now the court is I'm sure in the next day or so, the Supreme Court's going to put a stay on it. But that's what they did in Utah, too. So we could be looking at the court taking one of these cases or all of these cases or just a few of these cases.
And by the way, I was going to say the full proof there is a God is the wife of the top Texas anti-gay crusader divorces him to be with a lesbian partner. Come on.
Bless his heart.
You can't
that had to have been a gift from Robin Williams. Come on.
Well, when you go looking for dates at ex-gay conventions, this is what happens.
That's right.
Oh, and then you tweeted, by the way, just before we go, you said, wow, James Brady death ruled homicide by Virginia medical examiner. I was really surprised by that as well.
Well, I didn't know that was possible.
I didn't either.
In theory, the statute of limitations on murder never expires. So after a little Googling, I did find that there are cases where, for example, I think there was a Virginia highway patrolman who had been shot, and he died like 6 years later as a result of being paralyzed. So apparently that was, the guy that was charged as well. It's just kind of unusual to have it happen, 33 years later.
Yeah. Well, and it made me sad all over again, of course, about, he'd be considered a crazy, gun-grabbing nut today, and he clearly was a Republican. Yeah. I mean, it's.
Oh no, he and his wife Sarah were, I believe her name was Sarah, mm-hmm. Or is Sarah, were committed, conservatives. I mean, you don't get to be the president's press secretary, President Ronald Reagan's press secretary, without being a conservative, and it was the issue of gun violence that brought them to the left.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think the right knows that. Similar to the way that LGBT politics and anti-women politics pushes a lot of independents who don't even put those things on the top of their issues list, pushes a lot of them to the left because Republicans just scare the bejesus out of them. The gun politics scares a lot of independents and young people too. Even if they don't put that issue on the top of their list, it alienates people.
Yeah, absolutely. What am I supposed to say? We're Democratic strategist. And what else?
CarlFrisch.com.
CarlFrisch.com.
There you go.
We're putting a little something together for you. We need to just do a little Foley work there. Okay. All right.
Now, can you do like an impersonation or anything?
No.
An impersonation of you?
No.
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I figure while we're doing like little audio cues.
Yes.
This is fascinating.
No, it's for a little surprise for you. You just shush. You wait till Christmas. All right. Love you. See you next week. All right. Bye. 19 minutes after the hour. Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. Miller Show. Welcome to it. 24 minutes after the hour. 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. I was alerted by Twitter yesterday that I came out 4 years ago yesterday.
Yes.
I did not know. It's in big gay history. Denise first tweeted 4 years ago today. That was yesterday. SM show came out. I feel old now. All right, me too. Mm-hmm. I'm a big old les now.
Yeah, you're old.
There's some.
You need to become a lesbian version of a cougar.
What do you mean become? I beg your pardon. All right. I said to Carl Frisch, I think it is a gift from the comedy heavens from Robin Williams that the wife of the top Texas anti-gay crusader divorced him to be with her lesbian lover. The leader of an anti-LGBT group who has joined with Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott to ban same-sex marriage had his own marriage and after his wife began a romantic relationship with a lady lover. To which I say, sugar and spice. It ain't a man's world.
And like Carl says, that's what happens when you troll for chicks at ex-gay conventions.
There you go. He had said about the gay marriage ban, he said there's wide support for the state's rights and for marriage to remain between one man and one woman. That cuts across political lines, across faith lines, and across demographic lines. Not the line across his, bedroom or bed more specifically. It doesn't cut across that line, I guess.
No, not at all.
That's where the main division is in the middle of his bed. where his wife used to be, and now she is with a lady lover.
And now there's just a divot where the lady used to be.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I do mean to put it to music.
Okay.
Our little boy is 40 years old and quite a big man. So we spell out the words that we know he won't understand, like G-A-Y or maybe E-Q-U-A-L-I-T-Y. But the words were hiding from him now, and the irony up too high. Our L-E-S-B-I-A-N becomes public today. Me and Mommy's longtime friend will be going away. I love how common is the P-I-T-C-H to him. Oh, I think he just can't stand that L-E-S-B-I-A-N.
Rocky Mountain Mike, and I'm guessing Mary in Ann Arbor.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
Doing a little cameo on that.
I understand. All right. So this is the. I just have to read this because it's. By the way, how many of these places are there? Newsbusters, Weasel Zipper. This was somewhere else. I don't even know. They spin off and. Yes.
Examiner.com ran it.
Yes. I think they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Whenever they hear Rush Limbaugh say something horrible, they're like, uh-oh, we better go scramble and get some liberal saying something. Yes, the headline, Lib Talker Stephanie Miller, too bad Robin Williams died instead of Dick Cheney, which is a somewhat misleading headline in that I never said that.
Right.
In February 2011, they're forward-thinking, we first said that liberalism at its core is an ideology of rage and hate. That's why people come to this show.
Yeah, for all the rage and hate.
On Tuesday, liberal talker Stephanie Miller proved that assertion correct when she opined that former Vice President Dick Cheney should have died instead of Robin Williams. Truth Revolt reported. Oh, they were the first ones.
Truth Revolt?
Truth Revolt is the first place that, they out Newsbusters.
Newsbusters needs to step up its game.
Right? They're slacking over there. All right, so you won't believe how they spun the rest of this when we get back. All right, so there's that. Ferguson, Missouri, which, by the way, we talked about with Missouri resident Kathleen Madigan.
She went to high school in Ferguson.
Yeah, is blowing up. We will talk about all that as we continue on the Stephanie Miller Show. It is the Stephanie Miller Show, 34 minutes after the hour. Yes, I'm the liberal Rush Limbaugh, according to all the right wing.
Yep.
Not sure how that is exactly possible. But.
Yeah. At Zoomerang on Twitter says, seriously? Anybody aligning Stephanie with hate obviously just landed from the planet Gazook.
Fart jokes? Yes.
Yeah.
Immaturity? Yes.
Computer says yes.
Hate and rage?
No.
All right. Not so much. We were just talking. I was going to finish. I don't even know which one this is. All these right-wing websites pick it up. But Lib Talker, Stephanie Miller, too bad Robin Williams died instead of Dick Cheney. They were trying to find a liberal that said something worse than Rush Limbaugh politicizing Robin Williams' death. Okay. So they quote me here, and I quote me quoting myself.
Right.
I was, of course, making a joke. I said, my point in all this is Dick Cheney's still alive. For some reason, Robin Williams, a national treasure, and Dick Cheney is still alive. We were discussing heart operations.
Sure.
Comedian Kathleen Madigan jumped in saying, still talking, too, giving interviews. Madigan and Miller, blah, 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 blah. Apparently not depressed. Won't shut up about what's wrong, Miller said of Cheney. Oh, he has a lot of thoughts about Iraq now. Oh, and also, this isn't the first time Miller has wished death on conservatives. Perhaps you could go back through some of the tape and tell me when... They don't give any...
No, they don't. They don't give examples at all.
Expressing hope that conservatives die is a staple of liberal talk radio. Since that's far easier than formulating a coherent argument. There's they don't.
No examples?
Just they mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they can't come up with any examples because we don't.
Right. In March 2012, I'm going to guess this was Jim. In March 2012,
okay,
for
there's
example.
that.
A guest on her program suggested critics of Obama's energy policies should test the alleged laws of gravity by jumping out of a plane without a parachute. I'm going to guess that was Jim.
Probably. He's a loose cannon.
Right. Even more than me.
Yeah.
Also, that was a joke. Okay. Oh, remember the time I was on Larry King and Rush Limbaugh had said, I hope Obama fails?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think the thing we can all agree on is Rush Limbaugh ought to be executed for treason. And so then that went over the right way. Everybody on the panel laughed. Like, really? Do you really think he should be executed?
No.
Okay. Eliminationist rhetoric from liberals like Miller, of course.
Is that a thing? Eliminationist rhetoric?
You know how that's what the show's about, is die, die, die. Of course, prompts others to engage in the same hate speech. Okay. On just about any given day, liberals like Miller prove theirs is an ideology of rage and blind hatred. Yep. It's almost enough to make one think they really do want a second bloody civil war in America. Right, that's right, because I'm the one doing the Civil War reenactments. What? Okay. Kevin in D.C.
You're all about the rage.
Right?
Yeah.
Hate. Hi, Kevin in D.C.
Good morning, early Stephanie.
Hello.
You're also the one who they claim is simultaneously a race traitor and a racist, which I would think would be extremely difficult to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well,
that's some jiu-jitsu there.
Once again, well, like I said, when you come to D.C., just keep on showing your hatred for me. I really appreciate it. I love that kind of hate.
That white-hot hatred.
No, you and I are all about the racial healing. Yeah, we need to go to Missouri, Kevin. That's what we need to do. What the? This is bad, by the way.
I wanted to ask something. I can't help but notice the difference between the treatment that the individuals at the Bundy residence, they actually pointed weapons at authorities.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed what happened to them, nothing, and the way that the citizenry have been treated in Missouri. Can you imagine someone with my shade doing what they did?
Pointing rifles at federal officials. Right.
Yeah. And again, because look at what happened to these people. They get tear gas and rubber bullets and all of that stuff, which so many officials on the various different shows have said is outrageous. So and to coin the phrase, it seems in black and white, this is the difference between having black or brown skin in this country in too many incidents and being in the majority.
Right. Well, somebody else brought up the Marietta, the anti-immigration protesters. I mean, there really is, we can see the difference. You turn on the TV, and I'm reading some stats, Kev. It says blacks are also disproportionately pulled over by police in Ferguson. Kathleen was just talking about how, 70% of the population is black and almost the whole police force is white. I mean, that's right there. But anyway, these stats, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Whites make up about a third of Ferguson's population, but accounted for just 12.7% of the stops by Ferguson police. Last year, African Americans made up 93% of the arrests following car stops, even though whites were more likely to have contraband. I mean, it's just...
I saw something, and it's not just Ferguson, of course. That's a stark example, but I've told you the many instances that I have been for the horrible crime of sitting in a car with my brother in front of my crib. We're calling the cops on because apparently that's sinister if two black guys sitting in front of your house,
sitting on the stoop while black. Yeah.
Or the time I was running because the whole Trayvon controversy talking about.
I think referring it to it as your crib is a crime in some municipalities.
Well, sorry, my house, excuse me, or the time, they talk about Trayvon. Well, if he didn't wear a hoodie, I was wearing a suit running, and an undercover cop decided that a black guy running with a package was sinister enough that she came up 7 floors to my office to make sure that I worked there. And thought she was completely justified. So I'm not surprised by this stuff at all.
Well, and it just seems like, Kathleen was saying a lot of this the other day, Kev, it just seems like the police are making it worse with everything they're doing. I mean, not releasing the name of the officer, not releasing videotape. The lawyer yesterday said the police didn't even talk to the other witness, didn't want to talk to him.
Standard. Incident reports and everything. The only good that can come out of this, I'm hoping, is that they've said that this kind of stuff has been building for a long time, and apparently, this young man tragically being shot, I hope is the last straw to have a permanent resolution, because you can't live like that. They're not thought of as a protecting service. They're thought of as an occupying force, and the images we've seen the last few days would seem to display that pretty heartily.
Yeah, and by the way, this guy, the witness that was with him, said we had no weapons on us at all. He shot again, and once my friend felt the shot, he turned around and put his hands in the air, as we all know, and started to get down. The officer still approached him with his weapon drawn and fired several more shots. And other witnesses have said the same thing, that Brown has his hands in the air when he was shot.
Can I ask you this stuff? The basic problem is, it seems, I can't comprehend it, because, you only go through your life experience, but I've lived in, I've had mixed company, all my life. So I don't, the only way you can do these things is that you don't see other people's humanity. There's a subset of people that just can't see people that don't look like them as human. I mean, what kind of monsters do they think we are? You got brown skin, apparently, and just your existence is a threat. That's the only way you can do these things across the country. The elderly lady in California, you remember that footage of the cop?
Yeah. Well, and we just had another one out here in L.A. I'm trying to find it. And yesterday somebody mentioned this, the guy, Kathleen talked about the guy that was selling cigarettes or something that they put in a hammerlock.
Yeah.
I mean, the tall guy. Wait, here it is. LAPD shoots and kills black man during investigative stop. And that was on Monday in South LA.
Wasn't he mentally impaired or something?
That's what, the man's mother said. Her son was lying on the ground and complying when he was shot 3 times. His cousin said he said every officer in this area from Newton Division knew this child had mental problems. I mean, but, you look at what's going on. So, Chris, didn't you say that they declared a no-fly zone? Over
Ferguson, Missouri.
What is happening when it's like you can't tell the difference between Gaza and, Iraq right now and Missouri? I mean, it's incredible.
It's insane.
They're not the only place that has that mindset. So is this ripping off? I mean, that's kind of scary. This ripping off a scab is something much deeper and much wider. I mean, yes, obviously in basic ways things have improved, blah, 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 blah. But this is really incredible, where you think your citizens are so threatening that you have to dress like a scene from Starship or something.
Yeah, riot gear. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Unbelievable. Well, Kev, every time this happens, that's all you and I can do is our little bit for racial healing.
Yes, I'm waiting for you to... can I tell you really quickly,
yes.
Speaking of that, right, before this happened, I saw a picture of you. I was looking for sexy liberal information, and I saw a picture of you on the bed, not that kind of picture, but a picture on the bed between 2 dogs, white dogs. I don't know what breed they are. They look pretty majestic.
Yeah. Yes, Max and Fred.
Okay.
Yes.
And you look so, in the most beatific spot, you look so beautiful. You look like something out of a Disney princess movie or something. Oh. I don't know where that was taken. When
that was your Out magazine.
Yes.
Out 100 picture.
I was lounging in a lace dress and pumps in my bed as I do every night.
I fell in love with you even a bit more, and because I just showed some vulnerability, I have to discuss it up a little by saying I like the way the dress pulled down your leg, and the fact that it's clung tightly to your, you say modest, but I say magnificent bosom.
Oh,
but Kevin, hate to bring you down, that picture was taken by Out magazine to celebrate the fact that Stephanie is a lesbian.
Right.
Well,
it was not about bestiality. It was not in. Yeah.
That's not going to stop her from turning me on.
All right.
Okay,
see?
That's true.
See?
That's some kind of magic light thing that suddenly makes her unattractive or something.
And if I really wanted to help with racial healing, I would have a black dog as well. But no, I only have 2 white dogs.
True.
All right. I love you, Kevin, and you know how I mean that.
Well, prove it once again when you get here.
All right.
Oh, boy.
All right. Consider it brought in. All right. By the way, so this is one of the friends and witnesses of this Ferguson.
He was with...
Dorian. This guy's Dorian Johnson yesterday.
Arm extended out the window, grabbed my friend around the neck, He didn't say step back or anything like that. He started to pull my friend into the window. So the officer's trying to pull him in, and he's pulling away from the officer. He never once attempted to grab for this officer's weapon. He's still holding my friend with one arm, and now with the other hand, he's pointing his weapon. The second time he says, "I'll shoot," it wasn't even a second later before the gun just went off, and the officer let go.
This is, it just sounds, like Kathleen said, it's just, in a lot of these situations you don't know, but the cop story sounds fishy. It just does. It's always he was going for my gun. It seems like that's the
right.
Here he is again.
It was just horrible to watch. It hurt him a lot. I see it in his eyes. It hurt him a lot. It was definitely like being shot like an animal. It was almost like putting someone to execution. He was a peaceful person, and he lived his life peaceful. I definitely think he's guilty of murder.
Boy, so the police, as Kevin was alluding to, used tear gas and smoke bombs to repel crowds. They say through Molotov cocktails, so this unfortunately is not...
Lots more rioting last night.
Yeah. All right, 46 minutes after the hour, we roll along on the Stephanie Miller Show. It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Cece Goldwater coming up top of the hour. Also, did not know, 30-year friend of Robin Williams.
Wow.
A lot going on in Arizona politics as well. Whereas John Fugelsang says it's a dry hate.
It is.
All right. And then Jackie Scheckner live in hour number 3 in studio. 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number. Let's go to Lisa in Omaha. Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Stephanie. I'm a first-time caller. I was watching your show the other day when you made that comment about Dick Cheney.
Uh-huh.
It's not like you were suggesting to, shoot him or, that he would drop dead.
Right, shoot him in the face or something. Right.
No, that's a Republican way. Anyway, I have to laugh that Republicans are making such, a big thing about it, because anytime that I read anything a Republican has to say, it is some of the most hate-filled speech I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you guys must not have any mirrors in your house, because if you did, you'd scare yourself every time you look in them.
Yeah, well, we had a conservative caller that had heard the whole segment on Rush and thought it was awful. That's what I think. Just when you think, oh, this has got to be something that's not partisan, and sure enough,
Oh, they always have a way of spinning it that way. And I give up on reading any of my Republicans' stuff on Facebook anymore, because it just makes me mad, and I don't want to stoop to their level.
Yeah, I know. Oh, my God, did you read this whole Twitter fight between the Republican official in Minnesota where he just kept doubling down on politicizing Robin Williams' death? It was just awful. I
haven't read it, but I might now. It'd probably be a good laugh.
Yeah. Who is this guy, by the way? I can't remember. He's a Republican.
Running for governor, isn't he?
No. He was using Robin Williams' death to politicize. He said he made some joke and then said, "Oh, vote for so and so for." Anyway, but he doubled down. This guy, this head, he doubled down and got in a Twitter fight. We've all gotten Twitter fights with trolls. Yeah. But he just went on and continued. I'll find it and continued to politicize it. Let's go to Donna in Phoenix. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Donna.
Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Chris.
Hello.
Say, I would like to see them now out on the national airways implore Sean Hannity to go to Ferguson to help deal with this crisis with the police department, because remember, Cliven Bundy,
right,
and everything he knows about the Negro.
Right.
So Sean would definitely be an asset.
That's right.
To the situation.
That's right. Why doesn't he go publicize that?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people made that on Twitter, talking about the reaction, the difference in the reaction in at the Cliven Bundy Ranch.
Exactly.
And in Ferguson. Hey, Mick in Colorado. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome.
Hey. Good morning,
Good morning.
Stephanie. I'm a first-time caller. I really have enjoyed your show and never could get through. I'm amazed that I got through this morning.
Well, congratulations.
So
go ahead.
I just wanted to stress what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri. I'm a little older than you. And my brother, this is surprise.
Yeah, right.
My late brother was NYPD, and back in the day, they used to have community policing. I don't mean necessarily the people in the community policing their community like today, but they had cops on the beat, and they were usually people from the neighborhood. back in the 70s, I think in New York, they started to let them move out to the burbs and all. I think that one of the things that we're missing here in Ferguson is how are you going to get people that are 60% or more African American and a police department that's almost 100% white.
Right.
Yeah, 70% African American actually. Yeah.
Community. How can we do that? It's almost impossible. The last thing I want to say is, when are you going to come out to Colorado with sexy liberals? You know, you have to come out here. You know, Denver, there's beautiful lesbians out here.
Oh, really now? Well, now you've got my attention. All right. Thank you.
The last time we were in Colorado, we saw a lesbian up on stage. We went to the Melissa Etheridge concert.
That's right, we did.
There were lots of lesbians in the audience there.
Yes, it was lousy with them. Christine in Cleveland, here on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Christine.
Oh, good morning, milady.
Good, thank you.
Good morning, Moose.
Hi there.
Was watching late into the evening yesterday, and there was I don't know if it was Lawrence, your friend, your honey, had an ACLU, the ACLU law director from Missouri that had filed paperwork and sent it to the chief of police of Ferguson.
Yeah.
Under the sunshine laws of the state to disclose the name of the officer and the autopsy report, you know, to complete that transparency. Because I know when those types of shootings happening in Cleveland, and they happen everywhere.
Right.
So they come out with the name of the officer. They said that he's on paid leave or he's on suspension or whatever.
You know, Christine, it's making it more suspicious that they're releasing, like yesterday, I think the police chief said, he had a facial injury. The officer was swollen.
Because he had a broken eye socket or something, they said.
Yeah, except that, you know, again, his friend that was with him said it's because the officer reached out and grabbed. I mean, he's the one that started the altercation, and the kid was not armed.
Well, this gentleman from the ACLU has not sent, you know, the paperwork once, but has sent it again, like as of yesterday.
Yeah.
Try and get this, chief of police to come forward, and all they're saying is, oh, well, you know, his life is in danger, and it's BS.
Yeah.
And
why? The sunshine laws of the state, and that's in any and every state.
And why haven't the police interviewed the friend who was with the kid who was killed?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. He has been on everywhere. CNN. Well, no, I don't know about.
Well, and
he was on NBC yesterday.
And it lends credence to what he says, that he said they don't want the real story. They want to justify what they did. They don't want you know.
Absolutely not. And while CNN and MSNBC was covering the riots into the evening, late evening last night, I flipped to Fix News, and they were talking about Obama and Benghazi, and I don't even know what. There was nothing live going on Fix News.
Really? And what would be the shocking Benghazi development from yesterday?
I had to flip right back and go back to Ferguson.
Oh, okay. All right, honey. Thank you for that. Okay. 58 minutes after the hour. CeCe Goldwater next on the Stephanie Miller Show.
You're on.
They needed a dog doorman. Max and Fred need a doorman. Okay. It is the Stephanie Miller Show.
Oh, God.
I'm having a stressful week. 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere. Jackie Schechner, live in studio in hour number 3. And out of the box here, my former running mate, Barry Goldwater's granddaughter, filmmaker, CeCe Goldwater, joins us now. Good morning, CeCe.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We were dusting off the archives. I'm like, didn't we have an old Goldwater Miller song or jingle or something we used to use? But we couldn't find it.
Well, we've had, well, there was like 4 or 5 albums that were like, it was like music to make Democrats hate Republicans, and the titles were hysterical.
Exactly.
I have them all. I have them all in case you guys want them, just to listen for a little light listening.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome. So you wrote me yesterday, and I did not know that you were a friend of Robin Williams for, you said 30 years.
As I was telling you, I guess I was just I was trying to echo the comment that was made yesterday by our buddy about heart attacks and the correlation between suicide, which is one of many, many, many things that contribute to it, and especially if you're very, very depressed.
Right.
To begin with, that can only contribute to it more. So, but I wasn't aware of it, but then it made me recall, the story with him, and then, first meeting him through Norman Lear at this big, incredible function in LA called I Love Liberty, and he was just doing Mork and Mindy, and My grandfather was invited by Norman, which he found incredibly honoring because he just thought, wow, that most democratic person would never invite me.
Right.
And Norman was like, yeah, Barry, I really think you're amazing and interesting. And so back then, which was so cool back in the 70s, even like a really bright Democrat was thinking Barry was kind of hip, So,
right. Yeah. No,
so
I mean,
it was cool. So we, Norman sent his plane, and we flew out, and it was just
nice.
All sorts of fun. And at that time I met Robin. Robin was doing a segment on the show with a variety of different celebrities. My grandfather was on the show as well, and we became friends, fast friends in the green room, and then we continued our friendship through the years, and knew him through his first, second, and third wife, or I actually met his third wife right before he married her, and interviewed him right prior to his death. But he was, I don't know, he was one of these amazing people that through the years I saw him progress from, being a really, really funny, confident person to kind of a slow deterioration of not really sure, kind of, and almost a recluse. He had a core niche friends, he had these, he kept really close to his Juilliard friends, like, Dan Wilson and
Christopher Reeve. I mean, and the stories of his sort of just generosity and friendship are just, are really so sort of heartbreaking. But it was interesting. You said that you interviewed him, because I know you wrote to me yesterday. You said it was post his heart surgery, and you noticed, you said you truly noticed a difference in his demeanor, too, and that's what Rick Overton was talking about yesterday.
It was, there was probably, some heart medication involved, but, it was just this kind of deep sadness, even though, he was there with Susan and they were going to get married like the following week, and that, that was going to happen. And so but it just seemed, he just seemed a different person than when I first met him, kind of through the years. And so the sense of sadness seemed to be kind of overwhelming for me. I think, that overwhelming sadness, which, depression is so, it's debilitating.
Well, and I'd read yesterday he met her, his current wife. He had met her right before the heart surgery, and she nursed him through that and all of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, she was right there for him, and that's interesting because what happened, with my grandfather is his wife, my grandmother had died years before, and then he had started to go, into dementia and that kind of thing, or just started getting sick, and there was a woman that helped him, and he married her. It's ironic how those kind of things kind of happen. It's not uncommon for when you're really on that last bastion of life that you kind of look at that person as your angel.
Yeah.
And you kind of really hang on to them, and I just think that I know that, with his core group of friends, which are, people like Peter Asher, there weren't a whole bunch. I mean, he didn't let a lot of people in his world in that private realm. I mean, he had double, triple layers of people you had to go through to get to him. And, but that was only because mainly the people that loved him were so protective over him because he was fragile.
Yeah.
He's a fragile person. And I think, no one's to say, I don't know the answers of why this happened, but, I just know, I know what depression can do and how bad it can hurt you. And then to know, when I heard a couple times that, heart surgery and you have the depression that goes inside with it, that exacerbates everything to an extreme.
Yeah, and it seems like most of his close friends, in fact, it's interesting, front page story in the LA Times, Rick Overton is quoted, and he was here, with us yesterday, of course, but
that's what I was talking.
Yeah, but he said, Rick is quoted as saying he started to disconnect. He wasn't returning calls as much. He would send texts and things like that, but they would get shorter and shorter. And I think Carrie Fisher talked about seeing him and, being struck. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, but she also said something interesting, that alludes to that, whether it's depression or any kind of mental, she said it's hard when you're so far, I guess she described it as far away. It's like you don't want to burden someone. You don't know what to say. It's humiliating. I mean, I think, if anything, that's been the good thing is that it has led to more discussion about depression, about substance abuse, right?
Yeah, you know what the thing is that when you're depressed for so long and you feel like all you've done is talked about it, after a while you just feel like, oh, I can't bring it up again with my friends. I just can't. I really can't bring it up again, because you feel like all you've done is use people to just talk about your depression. So you get farther and farther away from them because you don't feel like you can talk to them.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really terribly alone feeling. And even though your friends are open armed about discussing stuff with you, you just feel like, oh God, I don't want to burden them again. Well, I won't burden them, but I'll kill myself. And that.
Yeah.
To me, it's just that the shock of him doing that.
Well, and Rick was saying. Yeah, and Rick was saying yesterday, I think that, again, he was saying, look, he dealt with the career up and downs, or whether it was marital stuff or anything. He dealt with that before, but, he's quoted here as saying he took the cancellation of the show hard, this last television show. He said it would hit any of us hard, but especially a heart patient who has depression. The 1-2 punch can make all the difference in the world. He got real quiet. I've known those eyes for decades. I know where the spark is supposed to be. So it's just, it's interesting that people close to him sort of, I think you're right, noticed it, but didn't know how to help.
And it's interesting. I can see it in the pictures. Going forward, looking at him. There's one of those. There's this photo montage on Huff that left it. But the first picture was Robin on a stage with his arms out with wearing the flag on his shirt, and that was a picture from I Love Liberty. And his eyes, you see that, and then you look at most recent pictures. And it's amazing, the difference, because he went inward, and there was no place to go. He really just felt that, and then once you're depressed and you feel like it's really over, and you really have taken and just decided that's what you need to do, you take it really seriously, and it's not like a false alarm like, people do, where they'll do it and they won't really do it, like the what are they called? The Murdoch. Who are the people that stole all the money in New York?
Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
And they took like a bunch of Ambien. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that ain't gonna do it. But anyway, it's not like that. You really take it seriously, and you do not turn back.
Yeah.
And so it's sad. It's been a very sad week, and I know a lot of people are grieving, and I know that his kids are grieving, and I'm horrified to think that Zelda's getting harassed by people, and
I know.
She doesn't really realize, because she's still young, that most of those people that are harassing her are 80-year-old guys that are on Instagram and Facebook pretending like they're 14 or 13 and sending these notes out just to be mean.
Yeah, I know that we talked about that yesterday. And it really is incredible. And and I thought, a lot of the stuff she said, she's obviously a really intelligent, young woman, because I just thought she said some really insightful things at a time. It's interesting. She was saying she couldn't understand it because he was so beloved. That's what a lot of people are saying. Like, didn't he know? And someone made an interesting point yesterday. They said it's not that you don't know you're loved; it's that you don't feel like you deserve it, or you can't. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
No, you can't. No,
right.
You don't feel like you. It's not real. You second guess things, and you don't. You're. How could somebody love you? You big depressed bag of crap.
Right.
And somebody was talking about, years ago, I can't remember who was talking about on the show about, how years ago, before all this stuff, when you send a letter or whatever, Travis and I were talking about this, but, you'd also put a bag of crap, in a paper bag and light it on fire in front of somebody's
door.
Right,
the old-fashioned way, right.
You don't do that stuff anymore.
Now there's
bring
Instagram.
It back. I thought that was fun, it makes for great party favors and things like that.
See, we only have about a minute left. Let's talk about something more fun. Arizona politics.
Oh yeah, oh joy, oh bliss. That's so much fun. So it's a really interesting race because the Democrats
Which race?
have an uncontested person running, which is Fred Duvall, who is just dynamic and wonderful and absolutely with all quality should win. And then the Republicans have just a variety of people. Leading the pack is a guy named Doug Ducey from an ice cream company.
And what seat is this for? Is this for a congressional seat?
No, this is for governor. Now,
for governor. Governor, sorry.
Yeah, and it's a big seat. We haven't had a Democratic governor for a long time.
Since Napolitano.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nepal. Yeah, and that's been quite a few years.
It has.
But the thing is that we've had a lot of the people that have gone into the governor's seats are by default because the governor has become,
the accidental governor, Jan Brewer.
Whatever. So they're secretaries, and basically, Fred Duvall, who's running uncontested in the governor's seat, is really, he's doing a great job. His opponent, which is Doug Ducey, and a bunch of other people, or Christine Jones. Unfortunately, the state is so bad that, it's just a drag. It's a drag all the way around. But
well, it'll be good to be rid of the accidental governor, Bonefinger. So that's what we'll look forward to.
And I'd love to see a Democrat in the seat. I'd love to see Arizona just bend in, lean in, and give a chance to something else, because the things that happen.
Well, Chris was right about that. That was his.
Not working.
Yeah, that was his state when Napolitano got appointed. You're like, oh, that's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad for Arizona, and it kind of was.
You know what? And nothing but the top. She just she rose like the cream. And so with the race, it's crazy and it's very competitive, and every street corner is just loaded with signs, and I think that Arizona really needs a big change, but, unfortunately there's a lot of real kind of old guard redneck people that are, out there. And if anybody's listening to the show this morning, and is in Arizona, there's a fundraiser this tonight at Eddie's house for the Democratic candidate, and everybody should go.
Okay. All right, we will post info up on the Facebook page, honey. We got to run, and we will talk to you next week.
No, you got to give me more time. Maybe if I don't hang up.
No. No, I'm going to hang up on you now. I love you.
All right. Thanks, Cece.
All right, goodbye now. Goodbye. All right, 19 minutes after the hour. Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. Stephanie Miller Show. Jackie Scheckner coming up live in studio. 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere. Kathleen Madigan was obviously in here with us all Tuesday morning, and she was talking about working with Robin Williams in Iraq and Afghanistan, doing tours with Louis Black. And so she always has some great Louis Black stories. And he tweeted about Rush Limbaugh's politicizing Robin Williams' deaths, and he, in his style, wrote, "You, Rush Limbaugh, your statements were beyond cruel and stupid. They were intolerable. Enough is enough from you. You are an idiot. Don't you ever demean the death of another human being. He was my friend. You disgust me." Good for you.
Yep. Louis can be prickly, but he's a good human being.
Do you remember the morning he was in here and some hapless right-wing caller?
Yeah.
Some troll called in, and I was like, "Oh no, you didn't call in the day that Louis Black."
Oh dear.
It was a version that was arable of what what he just said there. Let's go to Don in Santa Maria. Hey Don, welcome.
Good morning, beautiful.
Good morning, Angel.
Hi there.
Hey, just some thoughts on poor Robin and people like him. It just seems like to me that a guy that was an international star, beloved by all, humorous and all the accounts of his humanitarian side. Here's a guy that, like many others like him, needed somebody to watch him, and not watch him in an entertainment way, but watch him so that he wouldn't hurt himself. And he knew that deep down inside, if he was left alone in a room, he couldn't be trusted with his own thoughts. So,
well, I mean, we're speculating on what he. I mean, and I know it's human nature to speculate, but that's the thing. You don't. I mean, that's the problem. Even longtime friends. That's what Rick was saying. It's like even longtime friends don't know exactly what was in his mind and at what point. Because that's what what happens with survivors. You're left with woulda, coulda, shoulda. Coulda, shoulda, wouldas. But I thought this was interesting. You remember Carrie Fisher's one-woman show? It was called Wishful Drinking.
Yes.
She always has the best titles for her. But and it's about her struggles with bipolar and with substance abuse, obviously. And so anyway, she talked about a time that Robin Williams showed up alone, and she was surprised. He came backstage, and she said something about that particular evening, his energy and their conversation about bipolar disorder. One of our callers, again, I get it that people are going to speculate, but you don't know what. I mean, he doesn't identify himself as having that.
No.
I don't know. Anyway, which is the subject of this Broadway show in the book, has stuck with her all these years. She said he looked lost, kind of, and he said he didn't think he was bipolar. He took the test I gave the audience, and he got all the answers right, but didn't think being bipolar was something that had anything to do with him. She said, "I never heard anything so off the mark." like I did. He was driven by that frantic eagerness that you just don't want someone to like you. You want to explode on their night sky like a miracle, and he did. So, but again, that's like her opinion, and that's somebody else talked about the shame of
from
mental
experience
illness.
too.
Right, but I'm saying that some people talk about that's the other side of this is sometimes the shame of mental illness causes people to not get help or misdiagnosed, I suppose.
You know, it's probably like gaydar. Someone who is bipolar can recognize it in other people.
She said Robin had rampant empathy. Everything would end up on his grid. He'd walk in a room and all the energy there would impact him. He was the opposite of selfish. Anything would hurt him or impact him somehow. Perhaps it was that unrelenting stream of emotion that led Williams down a difficult path with substance abuse. So, it's obviously a lot of friends and family are left to grapple with this because again, I guess he didn't identify as that, so maybe that he wasn't being treated for that. And I know, that's what a caller was saying the other day that he should have been. So let's go to Bill real quick in Virginia. Hey, Bill, welcome.
Hi, it's a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I've been reading the blogs about this unfortunate incident out of Missouri, and it's really saddening to hear the hate. And this smacks of the 60s when the city's burning. I'm afraid it might happen again. And the other point I wanted to make was the fact that I haven't heard a lot of black conservatives weighing in on this. Armstrong Williams, Walter Williams, any of these guys, that big biscuit-headed guy over at Fox, I mean, nothing.
I don't know who he meant, but that's funny. Okay, 29
like the
minutes
term
past.
biscuit head.
Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. The Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. 34 minutes after the hour. Jackie Scheckner on her way in, hopefully in short shorts.
Please. She's still single. Of course she's going to be wearing short shorts.
Of course she'll be working it. All right, 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Let's go to Tom in Olympia. Hey, Tom, welcome.
Well, good morning. How is everybody?
Good morning. Good.
I just had a comment that, as an observer of what's going on in Ferguson, it reminds me of what's going on with the Palestinian and the Israeli conflict, that we see a very heavy-handed approach to try to diminish a person's basically disappointment with the government in which we all participate. And I do not understand.
I think there are some differences, but there are no fly zones over both places at times. I mean, there's something going on with the world in general. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We were saying that the show's been a tad different this week because it's been
a little sad.
Yeah, well, because but it's interesting. There's so many stories about this because for some reason I think just because he was not just because he was beloved, but I think it's just. I guess in that sense it's good. It started a real conversation about depression, about suicide, about and there's all these conflicting. I just saw this morning. Robin Williams had no financial problems prior to his death, says his publicist.
Well, a publicist,
right? But his publicist also said, he hasn't had a relapse. He's just going for fine tuning to rehab. I think that's. No offense, but we're used to Hollywood. I mean, they have a template about, are my clients dehydrated, exhausted, whatever.
Publicists have been known to lie and cover up things.
And I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that I think it's okay to discuss, because I think a lot of people are, and look, I think what his point is, and that you get it because you look at the kind of money he had. We're like, and what he said is, Robin had no financial problems. We should all be blessed to have Robin's financial status. Well, that's not the point. People that knew him and friends that are obviously quoted places. And he talked about it publicly. Mm-hmm. It was what it felt like to him, and that's the nature of depression. Right. It's like, I get to most of us, you go, oh my God, how could he have financially had all this money? But let's see, this was Parade Magazine. His net worth was once estimated to be near $130 million, but in 2013 he admitted to Parade Magazine he was on the verge of bankruptcy because of 2 divorces, and he joked about it, as he did. He reportedly paid his first 2 wives more than $30 million combined divorce settlements. But anyway, his current net worth was around $50 million. He revealed to Brady he was selling his $35 million house in Napa to pay debts. Again, it's not something ordinary people, but obviously to him, he lived at a way different level than most people do. He just said there are bills to pay. My life has downsized in a good way. He said I'm selling the ranch up in Napa. I can't afford it anymore.
He had stresses.
It's right, and we were saying, because to most of us, you're going like, who even really knew or cared about this TV show? He had such an amazing career, but to him, it was huge. Mm-hmm. Probably not just in fact, Rick Overton is quoted in, I was saying in the LA Times about it, that he took it really hard, and it wasn't just because of money. It's because if you're already at that place, whether it's because of heart surgery or just general depression, you know. I was going to say, Rick he said so many great things on the show here, and then I was reading after the show all this stuff he had said, and he's just, he has insight that, he said he took the cancellation of the show hard. It would hit any of us hard, but especially a heart patient who has depression. And he said, and actually in here it says, friends say the news was a serious emotional blow to Williams, who had spoken of finding himself increasingly prone to bouts of depression ever since going through open heart surgery. And that's exactly what Rick was talking about. And so I guess Robin talked about it. And even Cece, who we just had on, said that she definitely noticed the difference after the heart surgery. So I think, and that's something that I'm glad Rick's talking about, because I bet there's a lot of other people in that category. And he said patients should be better prepared for that. The other thing in the piece, of course, we talked about this yesterday. The sheriff yesterday declined to say whether Williams left a note. Some places are saying that he didn't. They're reporting he didn't, but something that the sheriff said yesterday, I read the quote, sounded like he did, but they weren't going to comment on it.
They said we're not going to discuss the the note at this time. And so, older news stories that you see may be reporting that there wasn't a note, because that's what was initially reported. But things changed with the
There's interesting stuff, I thought, in this piece. He would sometimes joke self-deprecatingly about what he seemed to view as a downturn in his career. Again, it's like when you reach the heights Robin Williams reached, that's the thing to the rest of us. You go, oh, my God, how could he was so successful, so talented, so... In his 2009 stand-up tour, he imagined a conversation with his car's GPS in which the navigation system was trying to steer him off the Golden Gate Bridge. I said, why? Have you seen my movies recently? I mean... Again, he sort of made it funny for everybody else, but it clearly was stuff
that's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. But they talk about in 2005, with his box office power waning, he began drinking again while shooting an independent film, The Big White, in Alaska. And I guess he did an interview at the time, and he talked about contemplating suicide. He said, it's trying to fill the hole, and it's fear of what led him back to drinking. You're going, what am I doing in my career? You bottom out. People say you have an Academy Award. The Academy Award lasted about a week, and then 1 week later, people are going, hey, Mork. So, again, it's just, it's the nature of depression. I think it doesn't matter what's in your life. It's you amplifying every disappointment or what you view as humiliation or failure, I guess. But I found a lot of this.
And depression is a very, very lonely state.
Yeah.
You feel so alone, and, you don't want to be around people, and therefore you're alone with your thoughts, and you keep thinking these things over and over and over again.
And I was saying that I think Cece mentioned it, and also Carrie Fisher, about, you feel like you don't want to burden people, or you don't want to...
Absolutely.
If there's one thing we get from all this, burden someone. If you're listening and you're depressed, burden someone. Reach out.
It's easy to say that.
Right, because your friends don't think of it as
It's easy to say that, but someone who's depressed, it's admitting failure. It's admitting defeat.
Yeah.
And you're already feeling defeated. You don't want to go any further that way.
Yeah. So just a lot of, again, talking about I get his publicist's point. Compared to most of us, he still had millions of dollars, but that doesn't mean that wasn't huge for him and a huge pressure. And, I think all of it added up. I think, the stress for him, but I'm just, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think Rick Overton had some really insightful stuff to say. I mean, both on our show yesterday and we talked about this, which I'm just disgusted. His daughter. And again, Jackie Schechner was originally a social media reporter for CNN, and we've had this discussion over and over. Like, are we just horrible, or have we gotten worse because of social media? But anyway, she got so much negative stuff. I guess was it Instagram?
Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah. Harassment over her father's death. A few anonymous users criticized the fact that she didn't post enough pictures of her father. Several sent graphic photoshopped images along with crude and hateful remarks. Anyway, and she wrote something interesting. She said, first of all, she's funny, and she really said, I thought, some interesting things. She said, to those he touched who are sending kind words, know that one of his favorite things in the world was to make you all laugh. As for those who are sending negativity, know that some small giggling part of him is sending a flock of pigeons to your house to poop on your car right after you've had it washed. After all, he loved to laugh, too. Dad was and is always would be one of the kindest, most generous, gentlest souls I've ever known. And while there are a few things I know for certain right now, one of them is not just my world, but the entire world is forever a little darker, less colorful, less full of laughter in his absence. We'll all just have to work twice as hard to fill it back up again. I just thought that was an interesting way to try to make make a positive. So all these tales are coming out, by the way, of his generosity, which I just thought were. I don't know if you saw. By the way, Norm Macdonald did a series of tweets that really was amazing. It was when he was backstage in his dressing room before going on. I think it was Letterman, and he had to follow Robin Williams. Robin Williams was on the show that night, so Robin Williams came in his dressing room, just did this whole routine, pretended to be a Jewish tailor, and was measuring his inseam and talking to his friend on the phone, and it was just this incredible story about how kind and funny and generous he was, because Norm was so nervous. Anyway, but you got to read it. Conan O'Brien said a bunch of years ago, like 5 years ago, I went through a bump in the road and I was feeling a little low.
Yeah. A little bit.
Been through those bumps, I know. Out of the blue, Robin Williams buys me a bicycle. He was the first person to buy me a bicycle since my parents. It was bright orange and bright green and had shamrocks on it. Jessica Chastain, we talked about yesterday. Gave her a scholarship so she could go to college. She didn't come from money and got her a scholarship to Juilliard. Christopher Reeve, obviously, after his injury, Williams helped his family cover any medical expenses they couldn't pay for. St. Jude's Hospital, he's legendary for, of course, a tireless fundraiser for them. Yeah. Detroit musician Aaron Dworkin, I hadn't heard this one. He gave him $10,000 to pay off his debt to Penn State so he could finish college. Dworkin is now the director of Sphinx organization, which promotes minorities in classical music. And if there's anything he left, it's that paying it forward, that he helped people that are Make-A-Wish Foundation. Oh, this one made me cry. North Carolina resident Mark Cole said he paid his terminally ill daughter Jessica a visit in a private plane in 2004. She had weeks to live. Jessica loved Mrs. Doubtfire, so she requested a visit with Williams through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Yeah. He chartered a plane and spent the day with the 13-year-old doing Mrs. Doubtfire impressions, playing cards, and watching a Panthers game. Oh. So, it's just all of these, outpourings of stories of. It just makes you even sadder. And here's another one. Frances Bean Cobain offered. Did you see that on Twitter? Offered support to Zelda. Her dad, Kurt Cobain, famously committed suicide as well. She tweeted she'll be there wherever, whenever for Zelda. Yeah. Zelda. This is the part he had said. She said, "While I will never ever understand how he could be loved so deeply and not find it in his heart to stay." There's minor comfort in knowing our grief and loss in some small ways shared with millions. And again, I think that's, you've discussed it really well, Chris, the nature of depression, that it's not a decision like that. Like, it's not, I'm sure that he knew he was loved. It's just, it's not.
That makes no difference.
Yeah. Anyway, so thoughts and prayers, and let's send some positive energy the kids' way. So counteract all the hate. The hate is going to hate. All right, 45 minutes after the hour, right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. Stephanie Miller Show, welcome to it. Jackie Schechner on her way in. Jackie's Healthcare Corner and much more. We will obviously talk about, because we've talked about the mental health, part of the Affordable Care Act. Interesting, celebrity blogger Perez Hilton, he wrote on Facebook, I know, but no, it's opened up a conversation, which I think is good, about, mental illness, depression, whatever. He said, I'm lucky to be alive, and even luckier that I didn't listen to that doctor who misdiagnosed me as bipolar after meeting me only once, when I was thinking of suicide daily for months during a powerful depression in my mid-20s. Talking openly about depression removes any stigma or shame. You don't have to suffer silently. So everybody has their own... And it's interesting because we have a lot of speculation on whether Robin Williams was bipolar, I guess, but you can also be misdiagnosed. And, Dave in California, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Stephanie. Called you a couple times before. In talking about depression, one of the things that happens, and one of the things that people fail to realize, and we see this with the thing with Robin Williams, where all the people are phoning in saying, how come he didn't know that all these people loved him? And the thing is that he did know that. And this is part of the problem with depression, is depression robs us of the ability to feel.
Right.
But it doesn't rob us of the ability to know that we've been robbed of that ability. In other words, we see this all around us, and we know that we should be able to feel this. We know that these people love us. We know that that emotion is there. We just can't feel it. And then we get into the spiral of the guilt that surrounds that. The guilt guilt that we aren't feeling these feelings, the guilt that, we should be reacting to it, and that these people care for us. And
how are you feeling about the fact that your dog needs to go out for a walk? How are you feeling about that?
Actually, I have 2 dogs here, and they're playing.
Oh, okay.
And they play each other, and they're all rescues.
Aw.
Yay. Yay for you. Yeah, no, very good.
They're having a good time.
Yes, all right.
And they're here watching you, and the other dogs in the other room barking.
Okay, good. Thanks for the update. All right, and good thoughts on that whole thing. Oh, by the way, speaking of, we were talking about the ass bites being mean to Zelda Williams online.
Yep.
Speaking in other ass bite news, Keith Abloh.
Oh, God.
Fox
Psychosis?
Something. So, yesterday we played the soundbite of him. We said that Michelle Obama could drop a few pounds.
Yep.
So he doubled down. He said, I'm not taking food advice from an American who dislikes America, who in many photographs during her tenure as First Lady is obviously not fit and who has a record of saying things that show she's two-faced. Okay, whatever.
Not a single word he said there was accurate.
Correct. And scene. All right.
Keith Abloh is a bit of a doughy pant load himself.
Yeah, I was just going to say. It doesn't Rush Limbaugh frequently also comment on Michelle Obama's physique?
Yeah.
Along with politicizing Robin Williams' death? Yeah. Okay, back to other disasters in the news. Iraq. So Ben Rhodes, President Obama's deputy national security advisor, said the U.S. would consider using ground troops in Iraq to help rescue the thousands of Yazidi refugees trapped on a mountain. He reiterated that reintroducing U.S. forces into combat on the ground in Iraq, he insisted the deployment to aid in the rescue of refugees would be different than reintroducing U.S. forces in a combat role. Chuck Hagel talking about that yesterday.
This is not a combat boots on the ground operation. We're not going to have that kind of operation.
And then Ben Rhodes again.
These 130 personnel are not going to be in a combat role in Iraq. They're there on a temporary basis to make assessments about how to get the population off that mountain.
So good piece in HuffPost on if you're blaming the Iraq crisis on Obama's troop withdrawal. Talking to you, Lindsay. Answer these 4 questions. Number 1, how many troops should we have left in Iraq? And they were talking about even when we had 100,000 American soldiers there, it failed to keep the insurgency under control. They had to go to 168,000. I mean, that's what they're saying. How many would it take to stop the insurgents now? How long is long enough? Obviously for John McCain and Lindsey Graham, never. I guess forever. Is the long-term solution to the country's violent schism to plant American troops in Iraq forever? If airstrikes fail to address the root of the problem in a region long haunted by religious warfare, will an ongoing foreign military presence help? Number 3, should troops have stayed in Iraq without a status of forces agreement? And this is, all the dissension was about. Without that, any American soldier in Iraq could have been tried in Iraqi courts for anything those courts found a soldier to be plausibly guilty of. Number 4, would U.S. troops try to retake Mosul and Fallujah? We all remember those battles. I mean, amid all the hasty call to arms, do critics intend to engage in the same costly battles that ultimately failed to establish a lasting foothold for American forces against insurgents in crucial Iraqi provinces? In expanding offensive in June, insurgents captured Mosul. This really is like a bad... It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Iraq's the second largest city after U.S.-trained Iraqi soldiers and police officers fled their posts, leaving large quantities of U.S.-supplied weaponry in the militant hands. Again, can you plausibly blame President Obama for the fact that the Iraqi army fled and left the weapons that we get? I mean, it's...
Not at all.
Okay. State Department spokeswoman yesterday.
Marie Harf.
The president has been very clear that we will not be sending troops back in combat roles. That's the key phrase. They're assessing. They're not there in combat roles.
Marie Harf.
Sorry, another hairball.
Sorry.
All right. Hillary Clinton talking about, obviously there's a lot of people trying to cause a lot of trouble. Dissension between Hillary and the Obama White House.
We agree. We are committed to the values and the interests and the security of our country together. We have disagreements as any partners and friends, as we might very well have. But I'm proud that I served with him and for him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him tonight.
They had dinner last night.
I know. Awkward? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
She said they're going to hug it out.
Yeah.
She actually used that phrase.
Did she say that?
Yes.
She didn't say bitch, right?
No, she didn't say bitch.
People are just trying to stir up a lot of, you know what I'm saying? Because, and I talked to Eric Bollard about this yesterday, that, of course they're going to try to blow anything up like that. When she had even said, of course she's not sure exactly how it would have turned out in Syria, but again, it's kind of a nuanced difference of opinion. Rand Paul on Wednesday called on President Obama to seek congressional authorization for any prolonged military operations in Iraq, especially if it involves troops on the ground. He sort of tiptoed out in his teeny tiny little feet after 4 days to make a sort of like a...
He's been silent on a few too many things. I mean, libertarians are always the ones screaming about the heavy hand of government, yet he's been completely silent on what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri.
Yeah.
He's, oh, God, I can't stand that man.
I very immaturely retweeted a couple of pictures that show how teeny tiny he is. There's one picture of him with children, and he's shorter. Awesome. It's Kathleen Madigan said. Kathleen Madigan, 5'1".
Yep.
She said she saw the top of that horrible hair when she met him in person.
She was wearing chunky heels.
Well, he was
still
wearing Prince platform shoes, she said. Just saying. Okay, Jackie Scheckner next on the Stephanie Miller Show. All right, safe search on. We'll talk about Jackie's dating adventures later again. In the meantime... Yes. Yeah. And by the way, yes. Yes, she is wearing short shorts. She is.
I know where my bread is buttered.
You certainly do.
There was speculation, and you said she's still single. Of course she'll be wearing short shorts.
Yes. Was there any doubt?
All right. So a lot to talk about.
I know.
Oy, where do we start? I mean, we were saying that we've obviously talked to you about the mental health component of the Affordable Care Act, and it's hard to even, you feel bad even saying, oh, well, the good thing about this, it's not there's a good thing about this, but you go, if there is it starts a discussion that saves lives, I guess that's, and somebody, Carl Frisch was saying, we shouldn't just talk about this every time a celebrity dies, because that's why, you were saying it was an important component of affordable care, right?
Yeah, the nice thing about the Affordable Care Act is it included mental health parity, so it means treating mental health issues the same way you would treat other medical issues. Getting access to mental health care is required within the Affordable Care Act, or having access to it, rather. So that's fascinating. The glitch that we end up with sometimes, though, is that you still have copays. Sometimes these large insurance companies will farm out their mental health component to smaller subsidiaries or smaller separate companies. And then sometimes it may be difficult to find a therapist within that. I was telling you off the air, and I should mention it, we did this actually when John Fugelsang was guest hosting.
Right.
Because his brother, Paul, is a therapist, a psychotherapist, and he started this very cool thing called the Open Path Psychotherapy Collective. And I'll put a link to this up on my Twitter, because I think it's really important.
Okay, and we'll put it up, too, on our Facebook.
But what he created, it's very, very cool, is a lot of times psychotherapists will offer to take some patients at a lower rate than what they'll normally take, just as a gift to the community, just as a service, because it's the nature of the work that they do.
Right. So it's like some lawyers taking pro bono.
Exactly, the same type of thing. So we're talking about a rate of $30 to $50 per session, which can be in some cases less expensive than your copay if you have insurance, or a lifeline if you don't have health insurance. So he created this collective where you pay an initial $49 fee, and then you have access to hundreds and hundreds of therapists around the country. It's like a database. They've all been heavily screened. They're all certified. They've got their specialty on there, and you can go through and look for somebody that you think you might connect with. Now, you work out with that therapist what the fee will be, whether it's 30, 40, 50, wherever you are within that range, and then you see them. And look, if you don't like them, if you don't click, if it's not the right therapist for you, you can go back in, find somebody else. Let's say you go to therapy for a year, you feel like you're good and you want to take a little bit of a break, you want to come back, you don't pay again. It's a lifetime $49 fee.
Well, and
it gives you access to therapy that you may not have had access to before.
And we were saying it's important, because I was saying even friends of mine that I don't know how many people I've heard say, I can't afford it. That's a very large barrier to entry for people to get. I mean, there is that stigma in people's minds, because I don't think as a society we have that stigma much anymore. I think we are much more open. And I would say a lot of that has to do with daytime television, people talking about mental illness in a much more open capacity. And I mean that in terms of talk shows and that sort of thing. But
I think that the barrier to entry financially is still a big, big problem.
Well, and you look at, again, there's so much speculation. You don't know every, detail of the Robin Williams situation, but you think, now there's someone with the wherewithal to help, but you think, did he wait till too late? Because obviously they said he was seeking help for depression, but, again, as Rick Overton was here, yesterday and was quoted in the LA Times as saying, is it their point where you feel like it's too late or you can't reach someone anymore? They they don't know how to reach out, I guess.
Yeah, my heart hurts so much for Rick because I know that he has such grief in this, and I know that he's really dealing with this.
He started to tear up on the air yesterday.
I can see it, and we're friends, we're social media friends, and you can see the tribute and the emotion, and I love Rick with all my heart, and I just really feel for him at this time. You don't know obviously what's going on in somebody else's head, and everybody's going to have a personal incident that they can compare this to. I know a lot of the callers are saying that they have bouts of depression or have dealt with it. I will say, as somebody who's been, and when I say in the public eye, I mean in the most marginal sense.
Right.
But there is sometimes a sense of whatever I do next professionally has to be as good as or greater than what I've done before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's a sense of what comes next on my resume has to be worthy of what's come before.
It's ambition.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's also a sense of, will I have failed in some way if that next step isn't worthy of everything that I've done up until now?
We were saying to all the rest of us, Robin Williams' career is amazing. To him, apparently it felt like,
it was starting to sag.
Right. And there's that struggle, there's that feel of, what do I do now? Do I lose?
And how do you stay at the heights Robin Williams has been at?
I think when you reach those, when you reach those heights, you don't have to maintain much anymore because you just are a legend. But I don't know that you see that way in your own mind.
It almost makes, I'm sure in his mind, it creates even more pressure to top himself.
Exactly. And whatever chemically he's dealing with, if he was self-medicating for years with, alcohol and cocaine and all of those things, and then if you get off of that and you self-medicate in whatever way you need to, or you're dealing with the emotional aftermath of not being able to medicate anymore. I mean, it's chemical. There's chemical imbalance.
Chris has talked about he had a, experience with depression. Again, it's interesting, I think, the conversation, because I feel like I have, but I don't know, Chris, if mine was clinical like yours. You were saying, we talked about it a little bit, and you said it was situational, but I do know that
you were
therapy,
saying,
among other things, saved my life. I mean, for me, it was after a breakup, and I was, but between friends.
And you can point to something as a cause for it.
Right.
When I had depression, I couldn't point to anything. It was just, I felt awful, lonely. It physically hurt to get up out of bed. I couldn't point to anything. And that's what's frustrating about it.
Yeah. But even so, I mean, I needed a therapist and friends to get through it. Because, I mean, I think that's the part that there's shame in talking about some things that I think it's better that we're talking about it. To go, I've thought about suicide. I think we all have. I think Chef Smith calling Robin Williams a coward. I mean, then he tried to walk it back. But this is what people are, or he talked about, they put him on a magazine cover that said, "Are we all crazy?" So I think Robin Williams had shame about being, he was saying that, is my comedy manic sometimes, but that doesn't mean I'm manic depressive. I think he had shame attached to, and I don't know what his diagnosis was or would be.
Yeah, and you were talking about it with Cece a little earlier, and talking about where people feel like they don't want to burden their friends or family. I have a lot of friends in my life, and I don't know why this is, and maybe just the people that I associate with and feel comfortable with, who sometimes when they go into a dark place, they will shut down, and you don't hear from them for a little while.
I have friends like that too, that isolate.
And you know what's going on, and I will reach out and say, I'm here if you need me, but you can't push.
Right.
Because they will retreat farther and farther away if you push. And I've learned over the years that it's not personal. It's not avoidance of our friendship or avoidance of our getting together or my help or any of those things. It's how they cope. And the best thing I found I can do, and this is situational, obviously from person to person, is just to say, I am here. I am always here. When you're ready, come to me.
I overreach out, as you know.
Of course.
With emoticons.
Oh, jeez.
God.
But I don't think it helps in some circumstances, because people just need to kind of be in the darkness, and they'll know that lifeline is there when they're ready.
Absolutely.
But again, it's every person has a different way of coping.
We talked about, you were obviously the social media chick at CNN.
A blog chick, yes.
Right. But, obviously a lot of talk about this, about Zelda Williams has, quit her Instagram, Facebook. And you don't know. You can ask the question forever, but you go, are we just more awful, or is social media making it worse? I mean, what kind of person? And apparently several thought it was a good opportunity to call her disgusting names and send graphic photos of her father.
There's no accounting for the idiocy of some people out there, and I think that unfortunately some aspects of social media have made it easier for those people to access the targets of their rage, their anger, their frustration. I am a big fan of the connectivity of the online world and social media.
Well, Fritz can be for good as well.
Yeah, and having been involved in it, since the AOL chat room days, and being able to talk to people, I think it's actually made a lot of people more social because of people who were disconnected in their own community who've been able to find
that's interesting.
a larger community out in the world.
Could make some people less lonely, I suppose.
It's like the First Amendment, freedom of speech. There's a lot of great stuff that comes with freedom of speech, but then there's a lot of...
Then there's Rush Limbaugh.
There's a lot of, awful stuff that comes with it, too. But to have one, you have to have the other.
Yeah, and I don't know what would compel somebody to be nasty to another human being in a time of great pain and sorrow and loss. It's unfortunate that the nature of how some of social media has evolved today, we have a lot of bullying, we have a lot of abuse, and we have a lot of negativity.
Right. Well, Cece was ruining the olden days when it was work intensive. You had to go out and get the dog food and the bag and the lighter and put it on someone's thing. And now, I guess because it's, like you're saying too, it's just the ease of it. You know,
and people will hide behind the anger, but that's just the nature of
the anonymity,
right? And I think that that's just the nature of that person. I don't think that you can blame social media for that. It's unfortunate that there is an accessibility through social media and the cloud of anonymity, but that's just obviously the dark nature of someone's soul. That's not.
Well, and by the way,
on the media
that's what's cowardly. What Robin Williams did is not cowardly. It's that is to misunderstand. I think depression and mental illness.
It's incredibly sad. I do want to add a little component here that I don't mean to. Do we have a minute? I don't mean to trivialize this by any stretch, but it was something that I found fascinating. I heard about Robin Williams' death on Twitter. Because I have my computer open all the time, and I'm constantly connected through Twitter, and I find my best news through Twitter, just stories that aren't being reported. So I turned on CNN, and I will say I also turned on MSNBC. It took CNN, and I didn't check the MSNBC time, but it took CNN at least 15 minutes to report on the death of Robin Williams.
Wow.
It was online. There was no mention of it whatsoever for about 15 minutes. And in detail...
Kathleen Madigan was saying, you ask people under 30, do you have a TV? They're like, no.
No.
They're on their device.
And it used to be that you could turn on cable news and the breaking news was immediate. And when I was at CNN, the breaking news was pretty immediate. I had a running start on this information, and it never turned up on cable news.
Were they trying to get confirmation?
You know what? The confirmation was out there because it had come from that sheriff's department.
I heard it live.
Really?
Wasn't it? It was the local. I think
CNN didn't have it right as the sheriff's department confirmed it?
There was that press release from the sheriff's department saying that he had been found, but it doesn't take 15 minutes to confirm that. And all of the news sources on Twitter
I heard it on the radio. They broke into a talk show to say, but they also said it's unconfirmed. We're trying to confirm this, and then a couple minutes later they did.
I mean, maybe they were. I mean, I did see it from some CNN reporters on Twitter before it hit the air, which means that they must have had permission to put it out there. But I was shocked. And I was shocked for a couple of reasons. One is because when I was there, they were fast. We were fast. I mean, when that stuff broke, we were on it. The second part is that I was there, I wasn't there, I was in D.C. at the time, but like when Farrah Fawcett passed away and then Michael Jackson passed away the same day, and Anna Nicole Smith passed away, right? They not only had it immediately, they went to wall-to-wall coverage with it. And I understand there's a lot of news happening in the world, and celebrity death isn't necessarily a priority at the moment when there's so much other stuff happening in the world. But gosh, I mean, get it up on the air. At least say it's happened.
Let's put it on the crawl.
Something. I mean, there was no sign of it. So
is that because of a shrinking newsroom?
I don't know if it could be because of a shrinking newsroom. It also could be that there's not the fluidity that there needs to be in the internet age. because they were in Middle East coverage.
Let's talk about that when we
Yeah.
get back, because
Sure.
you're saying that, social media may be good and it makes people feel more connected, but then that's the other side of it. But does it make you less human? Because you know what I mean in terms of how you're actually connecting with other humans.
But also-
is that the same as actual?
But also there are rumors of, celebrities who have died that rocket around the internet, and it's not true.
Right. Rick said it happened with Robin before.
Yeah.
And it was, and it was wrong, yeah. 20 minutes after the hour, more Jackie Scheckner live in studio on the Stephanie Miller Show. Minutes after the hour. Jackie Scheckner.
I did
Live in
initiate
studio.
someone into the cult of SoulCycle yesterday.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, we have SoulCycle news to get to.
Oh, yes, we do.
I
Oh, we do?
forgot.
We have
There's
news?
a celebrity spat at SoulCycle. We'll just wait for a
Is
moment.
this the Charlize Theron one?
Yeah.
I heard about
Are you guys allowed to talk about this? I don't think you are.
What do you mean?
You said it.
The first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
It's not Fight Club. It's a stationary bicycle class.
It's a bike in a room going nowhere.
And the second rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
By the way, they were moving. I was at one of the really popular classes yesterday, and they were moving a bike in, and I wasn't watching, and so they said, "Oh, excuse me," and I was like, "That would be embarrassing to get run over by a stationary bike." I was almost run over by a stationary bike. So the story is, now that you've brought it up, we'll get back to important healthcare things in a moment. Charlize Theron wants Tia Mowry banned from SoulCycle.
Remind us who Tia Mowry is.
Tia Tamara.
I had the Mowry twins on my late night TV show. That's how I know who she is.
Sister.
Yes.
Yeah, Tia and Tamara.
Yeah.
But she did a reality show after that, right?
And I think this is the one that's now married to a Fox News anchor.
Anyway, I thought she was delightful. She apparently
There's
wants
no accounting for taste.
wants her banned from her spin studio because the reality star talked to, the press about Theron's bad behavior.
Didn't she say hi and Theron blew her off, and then she went to the press and just said she's not a nice person?
Right.
Okay.
Right, and so she went to SoulCycle and demanded that they bar her from SoulCycle.
Well, in SoulCycle, you're not supposed to talk about celebrities, are you?
Yeah, there's no.
You don't even go. Why? Stop making up
No.
SoulCycle rules.
There are so many rules to SoulCycle.
Okay.
No, I'm not. There are 5 rules, and it's basically like don't talk,
Listen,
literally, it's like don't talk, don't be smelly, don't use your cell phone, don't use your phone. If you're going to do your own thing, sit in the back, and I don't know.
I'm going to start a fight with a minor celebrity. I need the press. P. Diddy was there. I'm going to shove him or something. Okay.
You're not supposed to talk about celebrities who are there.
That's not true.
Okay.
You don't even know. She's
so
right.
Charlene said this nobody who was famous for a minute 20 years ago can complain to the tabloids about me, and I can't expect you to protect me from hangers-on in your studio. Oh, my God, I'm so going to get up in her grill if I see her. I'm going to be like, hi, Charlize, hi.
Then you'll get some pub.
Right, exactly. I got to find other celebrities to annoy. Okay. Tia just said she wasn't very nice to me. I said hi. She rolled her eyes and said, oh, my God. Okay. All right. By the way,
I have little tolerance for that kind of Hollywood BS. I really do.
It's ridiculous, and
don't make me tell the life coach story from the last time.
No, one of the nice things about
don't make me tell the wolf story. Go ahead.
Do you guys need a minute?
No, go ahead.
One of the nice things about Soul, I think, is that the celebrities that do show are just like everybody else, and nobody really makes a big deal about it normally.
Yeah.
And there's not. I mean, the only person who's getting a lot of social media attention from Soul is David Beckham, and he's posing for pictures with everybody. So that's the only. Yeah, there's a lot of David Beckham sightings at Soul Cycle.
I have not seen him.
Oh yeah, no, there's been a lot of that.
I mind my own business.
This is the most L.A. conversation.
I know, right?
Yeah,
oh my God.
Okay, what? People would like your opinion
on a minute. I'm allowed to do this every once in a while. I get 1 hour a week. You can indulge me.
People would like your opinion on journalists being arrested in Ferguson. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what's going on there. I mean,
it's horrifying.
It sounds so scary,
yeah.
and it's just out of control.
I know. They were saying riot gear, no fly zone. There's it's incredible.
I mean, I will say that if the facts that are coming out are in fact facts and not rumor in terms of how this boy was shot, it's atrocious and disgusting. And, I do think there's something to be said for releasing the name of who this was. I mean, I understand it's dangerous, but gosh, I mean, if this happened, then he deserves to be prosecuted to the full extent.
Elizabeth
of the law.
Warren tweeted, "This is America. This is not a war zone. The people of Ferguson, Missouri just want answers. We all want answers."
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Exactly. Right back. More Jackie Shatner live in studio on the Stephanie Miller Show.
fish. There's gotta be a...
Stephanie Miller.
The Stephanie Miller Show, 34 minutes after the hour. The president makes a statement at what time? The dog just went into my lap. Sorry. The president's going to make a statement at 9:15. And we think, we assume it's
Pacific
about...
time.
Yes, right. We assume it's about Ferguson.
No, well, we don't know.
Okay.
He's in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But,
Whatever he says, the right wing will immediately say that he is dividing people by race.
Politicize it,
Just
whatever.
like when he said, made a comment.
It could be about anything. It could be about Iraq. It could be about Russia.
Yeah, you were saying, Jackie, May said this too, as, journalists for a long time. Does it not seem like things are...
Yeah, it does seem like the world's exploding.
The news has ever been.
Yeah. It does seem like, usually August is a slow news month.
Yeah.
It just does seem like things have escalated all over the place. And it's frightening. I don't know the answers. I don't claim to have any answers. I don't claim to be an expert on anything but the things I know. But it does feel that way. It feels particularly heavy.
And a lot of people, at least on my Twitter, have been saying that, in terms of depression, that it does affect a lot of people. Like a lot of this horrible news. It's hard as a human being to watch images from Gaza or whatever horrible news story you're focusing on at the moment, So I don't know. And then and a lot of people, I think, really impacted by Robin Williams' death. I felt really depressed about it, and I didn't know him.
It was shocking. I will definitely say that when legends pass, we lost Lauren Bacall this week too.
Yes.
When legends pass, it's shocking, and I think that it makes us. It makes you realize your own mortality when there's people in the public eye that you look up to, that you idolize, people who've been so ingrained in your psyche. Someone like Robin Williams, through the years, we all have benchmark roles, movies, specials, things that he's done that I think correlate to moments in our lives, right? Depending on, I remember, Mork and Mindy in the 70s and 70s, right?
Yes.
70s, 80s, right.
Late
70s, 80s, right? And then, as he's progressed over the years and the movies he's done, and you think about those and where you are in your life, and it marks, same thing like when Michael Jackson passed. We have these relationships with these giant celebrities that really correlates just to memories in our own history. And I think that makes us all think about life and death and what the people that we look up to is an interesting word, because then it implies that you're somehow idolizing somebody else. But I think the people who we know and recognize from entertainment.
Well, and plus I think that it's interesting. I think people just instinctively knew without even hearing all these stories that he just was such a good, kind, decent, generous man, and you could see it in his eyes. I think that's what somebody, I think it was Carrie Fisher, said that, he tried to give joy. He tried to give you what he didn't have. And I think that was sort of the way he died, and the amount of, laughter and joy he brought to other people, I think, is what made it particularly, just wrenching.
Well, all of the stories that are coming out now about all the generosity and the contributions that he made on the down low is what...
he didn't make that...
No,
you knew comic relief for the homeless. You knew what he did for the troops. You knew,
but all these little things.
Yeah, that's
so impressive.
Yeah, it wasn't done for publicity.
Right.
It wasn't done for public recognition. And the fact that we're now hearing about all of these extra things that weren't done for the sake of attention, they were just done for the sake of being a good human being, is what's
do a random act of kindness today in honor of Robin.
Oh, that would be really nice, actually. What a great idea.
His son said that, something like that. I found really touching. Like, the best thing you can do to remember my father is to be as kind and gentle as he was.
And to pay it forward. Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea. Can we talk about this little ALS thing for a minute?
The ice water challenge.
Talking about paying it forward. Yeah, there's this on social media, right? There's the ice water challenge where people are challenging each other to death.
Careful, you're close to home now, because my idol Ethel Kennedy, who has kicked my ass at Bananagram, did it. And she is how old? Nine something.
I was going to say 1100, but that would be impolite.
That would be impolite. She would hurl a Bananagram tile at you.
No.
The only thing I want to mention about it is that I'm thrilled that it's bringing attention to ALS, and I think that's great. I just want people to remember two things. From what I understand, there is that monetary giving component to it, right?
Yes.
So you're not just dousing yourself and taking a cute video, but you've got to actually contribute.
Right.
And then also from what I read is if you do the challenge, you give 20. If you refuse to do it, you give 50. So keep in mind that if you don't douse yourself in ice water, you're actually giving more money to the cause.
Yeah. I've had a problem with this whole thing since the beginning.
Yeah. It's good. It's bringing attention, and that's fine. But I just
think
you're
feeding the wrong wolf.
But I think you absolutely should think about if you're really doing this for the sake of the charity, and not dousing yourself is about giving more money, then maybe you should.
Right. Yeah,
Jackie, did you know that every person has two wolves?
No, I don't know
with
what
each other
is.
inside
No,
you.
No.
One wolf.
Which is the wolf that eats a lot of cottage cheese?
No,
because that's the one that he's feeding.
Represents envy and greed and everything bad, and the other wolf is love, is everything Robin Williams was. Joy and happiness and kindness and okay.
You called me a horrible person.
Wait, where did you hear about this?
Spinning class.
Oh, really?
So anyway, the little boy says, which wolf wins? And the tribal elder says, the one you feed. Then they turn the music back off. Feed the right wolf! Feed the right wolf!
Okay. I haven't gotten that one yet. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Charles in Miami, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Oh, my God.
See? Wrong wolf feeder.
Hi, good morning.
Okay.
Mom.
Hello, Charles. You're on with Jackie. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I love your show. Hi, Jackie.
Thank you.
Hi.
My question is this. It's sort of like a two-pronged question, but probably you can answer it. First of all, looking at the optics of what's going on in Missouri.
Yeah.
With the riots and stuff, it seemed as if I looked on the television and I saw the Tea Party actually guarding the border. And my thing is this, is the DOJ, they sent out Napolitano, I'm sorry, she sent out a briefing or a memo about hate groups that was in the United States. And I want to know if the DOJ has any information on the police officers that maybe radicalized Tea Party members, that's out there in these communities. And it just seems like that isn't part of America. That just seems like either it's in Beirut or like I said, on the southern border, or it just seems like something out of the ordinary for just, for what's going on. As far as depression is concerned.
Yeah, and one of the...
is in a depressive mood.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing we were saying, I guess we were talking about with Kathleen, this just shouldn't be a racial issue, I mean, and this is why, I mean, that's one of the basic problems she was saying is that it's 70% African American community, and almost the whole police force is white, and it creates this, because, and first of all, it shouldn't be, that's what I'm saying, it shouldn't even be like partisan or racial, it's, police mistreatment should be an issue that everybody cares about.
Well, yes, but if it's fundamentally happening because there's some inherent racism or, you've got a police officer on some sort of power trip, then obviously you have to say that it's racist or there is racism involved because, if you're pulling up on two young black men saying get out of the street, if that's, if this is actually the facts of what happened.
I think people are talking about the differences. Where's Sean Hannity and Fox News where they were all, worshiping Cliven Bundy and out there covering that.
Oh, yeah,
right.
absolutely. They're not defending this the same way that they were. I think that you have to, the reality is there's still a strong racial divide in this country, as much as we're making strides, we haven't eradicated it yet, and I think to say it shouldn't be or it isn't is dangerous only because it negates the fact that it does still very much exist, and we have to acknowledge that because you can't stop it until you acknowledge it.
And it's another instance too. The president can't do anything right. I thought his comments after Trayvon Martin's death were very powerful, and the first time an American president could say, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. I mean. I think that was a really elegant way of putting it. And of course, he took nothing but, as usual from the right wing, like, oh, he's the one that's dividing us racially. It's just like,
I heard. Oh, do you want to?
Yeah, I thought. Let's see. Judy says, "Hey, Jackie, the Democrat running for governor in Kansas, who has a really good shot at taking down Brownback EA, was quoted as saying that it was too late to do the Medicaid expansion. Is that an accurate statement, or is it still possible?"
No, it's always possible.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, the federal government has put aside the money. And just a reminder on this Medicaid expansion, and we're sort of shifting gears here a little bit, but just a reminder that the federal government pays the entirety of that bill for the first 3 years. And then after that, it pays a large majority of it, and by that I mean 90% or more. So the burden on the states that expand Medicaid is never going to be more than 10%. So all of these Republican legislatures and Republican governors who say the states can't afford it are going to have to explain, or do along the way have to explain why it is they can't afford something that's free for 3 years.
And it's creating jobs in their. I mean, do you think that the pressure is going to get to be too much, that they're going to have to do the Medicaid expansion? It seems like all of these statistics and studies and stories are starting to come out that are obviously showing exactly what we said, right, about the stark difference in states, you know.
I hope so. I mean, I think that people need to take some more responsibility, though, for getting more engaged in the political process. I mean, when we have voter turnout numbers that are in the teens, I mean, we have such a privilege in this country to be able to elect our elected officials. The democratic process can work if people participate. But I'm exhausted when people complain about the political process and don't actually turn out to vote.
Yep.
Because the only power we have against big money is the voting power, and we don't use it. And so you can complain all you want, but if you're not going to activate your community or you're not going to personally take the time to get out and vote, then I don't know what we do from there, because it's really the only tool and the only power that we have. So if you think that your elected officials aren't doing you justice, or you've got someone in office who isn't taking care of your community, take that time to go and cast your vote. And I mean this not only in the presidential election and the big elections, but these off-year elections. And your local elections. I mean, we've got ballot initiatives coming up. We've got, city council
Jackie
races.
says do it, and she's wearing short shorts, so do it. Her and her hot legs.
Oh, and also, I guess the St. Louis Business Journal has confirmed that President Obama will be talking about Ferguson.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well, that'll be good. And
Neil,
we'll have that.
Neil, real quick before we break here. Hey, Neil in Pennsylvania.
You guys always criticize Fox News, but the one good thing they do is they build special see-through desks so you can see the legs of their female.
I don't know that I want to see
those when Jackie is on.
I know. I apologize.
I don't know that I want to see Keith Ablow's legs, though.
Stephanie Miller Show apologizes for the lack of a plexiglass desk. All right. But we'll make her get up and work it before she leaves.
Yeah.
45 minutes after the hour, right back on the...
Does I get paid extra for
do it? Yes.
No.
I will double your usual pay. Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Stephanie Miller.
Oh, yeah.
That's all you're getting.
All right.
I think it was even blocked by that picture.
Oh, darn.
Jackie Schechter flashed a little leg for us.
A little bit.
You know what that's to make up for?
What?
Chris in Yankton writes, guys, OMG, the discussion of which celebrities are doing trendy exercise while someone shouts at them through a headset is so LA. Could you throw in some discussion of how bad traffic is on the 405 or where the best place is to buy kale? That would just top off the level of annoyance for us and the rest of the country. I was irritated by my own conversation.
Yeah, it was annoying.
This is
I
irritating.
apologize for being
Can you
annoying.
even buy kale in South Dakota?
I don't. Chris in Yankton will have to tell us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we were actually laughing last night. I had dinner with some friends who just moved here from D.C., and they were very D.C., and now they've become very L.A.
Oh, no.
So we were saying that they should actually take pictures of themselves in various L.A. stereotypes and make a calendar and send it out over Christmas to all their old D.C. friends.
Boy, it's almost equally irritating.
Yeah.
Really D.C. or really L.A. Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, speaking of celebrity news, since we're talking about shallow celebrity stuff, Brad Pitt has reportedly asked Beyonce and Jay-Z to perform at his wedding to Angelina Jolie. As the couple's children are huge fans, well, they better hurry. They better move the wedding up because
before that
there's a little trouble in
explodes.
Jay-Z and Beyonce land, from what we're told. Just saying.
I'm like astonished by everything that was mentioned in that sentence. Like, oh, who are we going to get to play our wedding? Well,
Right.
let's go to Beyonce and Jay-Z and see if they're available.
Right.
Okay, sure.
As you do. Exactly. Let's go to Doug in Pennsylvania. Hey, Doug.
Hi. I got a question for Jackie.
Hi, okay.
I changed jobs about 4 months ago, and the people I work for now don't offer insurance. And I'm wondering, how do I sign up? I haven't heard that I wasn't able to sign up until 2015.
No, you can go right now. When you have a life-changing event, like changing a job, you can enroll at any time. There should be something on the website that tells you how to do that. If not, you can contact, I think there's a number to contact, be on healthcare.gov or whatever your state exchange is. But there are provisions that if you have a life-changing event, moving, changing jobs, loss of health insurance, you can enroll at any time.
All right, excellent.
All right, thank you.
Good question.
He started like he was yelling his
I know, he
his
was very
food order
excited.
into the clown's
Hi!
nose.
Oh, the Happy Meal!
We didn't ask if he wanted fries with that.
And a
large orange drink! Apparently he did not want fries with that answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. Very
He was very
concise.
excited.
Very nice. Yes.
There was a lot of enthusiasm in that question. A for effort.
Okay, we need to do a Republican ass out of the day.
Okay.
Which do we vote for? Congressman who voted against the minimum wage complains he hasn't gotten a raise.
I saw that. That's a good one.
Or the guy, Republican congressman, that says Obama is just begging to be impeached.
Right.
Representative Terry, let's start with the first hat. Republican Terry Lee of Republican Nebraska says Congress can't afford a pay cut because its last salary increase occurred 6 years ago. His Democratic challenger, wants to cut lawmakers' salaries by 10%, and if elected, would voluntarily return that amount until he gets the cut passed. Anyway, so he started whining about, we haven't had a cost of living increase since 2008.
What do they make? Does it say?
He also was one of the asshats that refused to give up his salary during the government shutdown.
Oh.
Remember, they shut the government down and it didn't work, but he refused to not.
It was 100. What did they make? 100. And
you know what he said then? He said of his colleagues that did refuse the pay, said, God bless them, but you know what? I've got a nice house and a kid in college, and I'll tell you, we cannot handle it. Giving our paycheck away and you still worked and earned it? No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. He didn't do anything.
No, you didn't. Yes, you shut the government down. And he also voted against, of course, minimum wage. Okay. Republican asshat number 2, Representative Mick Mulvaney. Am I saying that right? Republican, South Carolina. He said the Democrats would love to be able to talk about impeachment and immigration between now and the November elections. Blah, 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 blah. They're so desperate to change the dialogue, which is exactly why you heard the president starting to talk about his amnesty because he's begging to be impeached.
What?
And he said the GOP should not fall into a trap when the guy absolutely wants to be impeached. Yeah, Obama, why are you hitting yourself?
Did you guys already talk about the anti-gay lawmaker whose wife left him for another woman?
Yes, I did mention that. How did you know that I would mention that? We take no pleasure in reporting that news, Jackie.
I saw that. I thought of you. Whoops. Methinks thou doth protest too much.
Well, how many times have I heard she's straight? And my friends are like, not when she meets you.
Well, that's what you get when you troll for chicks at ex-gay conventions.
Oh, is that what she did?
That's what I'm assuming.
Peter in Portland, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Peter.
Hi. Hey, I know President Obama's going to talk about Ferguson here in a bit, and you know that whatever he says, Fox News will be all over it. But what I'm thinking is that what's happening in Missouri, they've been trying to impeach their Democratic governor there for a while, all the Republican legislators. I think that what's going on there now with the lockdown and everything, I actually think, and this is a cynical observation, that they're trying to force a states' rights versus federal confrontation. I think they want Obama to do something on the federal level, whether it's bring the National Guard in or whatever, so that they can force a confrontation, make him look bad, make the governor look bad. I just think there's something else going on here behind the scenes where they're not really concerned with solving the problem right now.
Right.
Maybe this is a confrontation they want.
Well, like we were saying, Elizabeth Warren tweeted, they just want answers. Why are we, why is there riot gear and tear gas and all of that? I mean, it's.
Did someone say we need some troubles in Fort Lee?
We need some traffic. It's going to be some traffic trouble in Fort Lee.
Oh, I asked that half seriously.
It does seem to be an extraordinary escalation when they could have. They could have handled this in a much more professional fashion.
Many people have fairly said, can you imagine if some of those residents were pointing rifles at,
Absolutely.
It doesn't seem to make.
And I think I read this morning that they're getting a lot of this tear gas and bullets and stuff like that, rubber bullets from the feds. And so,
really?
I don't know if that's true. I just read that this morning.
Yeah.
I need to follow up on that. But if that's the case, then.
Well, and people, I was hearing that on the TV too, is that you can be seriously injured by rubber bullet.
Absolutely.
That's not it's not a toy.
I just want to clarify. I don't think that the reaction of the community is disproportionate by any stretch.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I think that the authorities, like what's happening on the law enforcement side, it's to be expected there would be outrage and frustration and anger. And I think that the way the authorities in Ferguson are handling it, obviously, seems to be way out of proportion. They could have handled this in a much more professional fashion earlier on. It wouldn't have, maybe not as escalated as badly if there was more contrition and more.
Do you think I should try to end the show early and trick Jackie into standing up to leave while we're still on TV so that people can see her hot legs?
She's smarter than that, Steph.
White short shorts.
She's smarter than that.
I know it. She's not easily tricked.
No.
Don't like that about her. Love you.
I love you guys too.
See you next week. See you tomorrow on the Stephanie Miller Show.